I mean, this kills, and it's a lousy way to die. Okay, so I'm your pet, and I'm now in the car. I've got all 4 windows cracked down about an inch. So let's start a timer and let's see exactly how hot it gets in here. 94 degrees. So it's pretty hot in here, but we're just getting started. 5 minutes in, 100 degrees already, and I can tell you that it is stifling in here. And 10 minutes in, 106 degrees. It is almost unbearable. There's a breeze outside, and it's very frustrating because I can actually see the trees, the wind blowing, and yet even with all 4 windows cracked between 1.5 and 2 inches, there's absolutely no breeze in this car. Okay, I'm at 15 minutes now, and it's about 110 in my car. If I were a little dog left out here, maybe I'm barking, I'm very nervous. I can only imagine what the core body temperature must be at this point. 25 minutes, 113 degrees. It's awful. The only thought that's going through my head right now is I want out of the car. Everything in my body is saying, get out, get out, get out. I have sweat just completely cascading down my face and nose, my lips, and I can do that. A dog can't. A dog can't perspire. 30 minutes in a parked car with the windows cracked. The temperature right now is about 116. I know what's going on. I'm in control of the situation. What I can't imagine is how helpless and frightening it would be for a dog to be left in a car, not knowing when you're going to come, and slowly but surely having the energy and the life just burnt out of them. You can make all the excuses you want. You can say it'll just be for a second. I'm going to leave the windows cracked. It's a breezy day. It's not that hot. But those excuses are meaningless unless you have sat in that car during that same time. Never, ever leave your pet in a parked car during warm weather.
Hello, everyone. So that video that we just saw is what Ross Harris saw just 5 days before he left his son, Cooper Harris, locked in a hot car. Welcome, everyone, to the show. We started it off a little different today because I wanted you to see what I saw. The dogs are not cooperating, but let me say hello to everybody. Zena, get in your spot, please. Get in your spot. Go. There she is. I know you guys are here to see her and Ava, not me. But today we're talking about Justin Ross Harris. And I went back and forth on this case. I'm not sure if you saw the little live that I did earlier today, coming back from the place where where all of this happened. It's not too far from my house, so I decided to go down there. Let me say hello to you guys. First of all, Lisa over there and Erica on Rumble. Good to see you. I see 8 people watching on Rumble this early is very good. So welcome, 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 Rumble people. I decided to say hello to you guys first today. Winternet. Winternet was first. You get a prize? You don't get a prize. Erica, good to see you, Miss Mandy. The other Mandy, I got 2 Mandys here. Welcome all the Mandys. Nightwolf. Welcome. Good to have you here. Kafar, always good to see you. Number 2, don't worry about it. Just if you could just hang out in the chat and mod for me, that'd be fine for today. I spent a lot of time on this case. I started researching it just before just after Thanksgiving. Sorry, just after Thanksgiving. So we're going to go through it today. Like I said, um, that video that I played at the beginning was what Justin Ross Harris and his wife Leanna saw 5 days, just 5 days before he left his son locked in a hot car. So, getting right into it. You know what happens every time is I write my notes And then I pull up my note, it's on the last page where I stopped writing instead of on the first page. So let me scroll to where I need to be. And I'm gonna share some photos here without sound, but just so you can see the family while I'm talking about them. Justin Ross Harris was born on November 27th, 1980. He graduated from the University of Alabama. He got a bachelor's degree in commerce and business administration. My degrees are actually in business administration and marketing, not commerce. I'm not even sure what that degree is. Leanna, his wife, was born on May 14th, 1984 in Demopolis, Alabama, and raised by a single mom. Leanna was an introvert and described by her high school friends as a goody two-shoes. Ross and Leanna got married when Leanna was just 20 years old. Ross was 24, and they decided to try to have kids almost immediately and had trouble. They struggled with infertility, which I know a lot of people do struggle with infertility, and that's tough. But a miracle happened, and the couple finally got pregnant in 2011. So, right after Leanna got pregnant, they moved from Tuscaloosa, Alabama to Marietta, Georgia, which is not too far from where I live. Uh, Justin got a job as a web developer for the Home Depot. You guys know that Home Depot is based here in Atlanta. Leanna was a dietitian. She found work in the Atlanta area as well as a dietitian. Cooper was born August 8th, 2012. 2012. By all accounts, Ross and Leanna were both great parents. They shared the responsibility of getting up in the middle of the night to take care of Cooper. Leanna, in the interview that I watched on 2020, in that interview, she said that Ross was a great parent, and he would get up in the middle of the night if the baby like was having, needed to be fed, diaper change, stuff like that. Ross loved his son tremendously. Every time he would get home from work, he would take time and spend time with Cooper. Everyone in their life said every single person who was asked about this, and there was a trial, so a lot of people were asked about it. Many people, all of them, basically, you couldn't find somebody that said that he was a bad parent at all. So once they moved to Georgia, they fell into kind of a routine where Ross would take Cooper in the mornings. He would like take care of Cooper, get him ready, would drop him off at daycare. Most mornings, he would go to Chick-fil-A for breakfast. Normally, he would go through the drive-through and then head on to work. So the Chick-fil-A is right here, and then his office is here. This Home Depot, this is not their main this is called the Treehouse office, and this is where, Home Depot has a huge building here, but this is, where the offices are, where the web developers worked. And then after work, Leanna would pick Cooper up from daycare. She got off of work at 4:00, and it took her about 45 minutes to an hour to get to the daycare, and then she would head home and start making dinner. Now we're to the day that all of this happened. Something's going on with Restream. The music is not cooperating. There it is. Let me turn it down a little bit. This is a live show, if you couldn't tell. Okay. That's a little better. I don't like hearing myself talk. Okay. Got that fixed. So June 18th, 7:30 a.m., Ross Harris and his son Cooper wake up at their Marietta home, and Ross and Cooper watch cartoons in the morning, and then they get dressed, get ready for the day. This day, I told you about their routine. This day, their routine changed a little bit. And I'm going to tell you about that here in just a second. But their routine changed a little bit. And instead of dropping Cooper off at the daycare first, he decided to take Cooper to Chick-fil-A with him. And they went inside to eat breakfast instead of going through the drive-thru and heading straight to work. This is where I think things get confused, because when somebody's routine changes, it can lead to forgetfulness. You think you've already done something. So this morning, I drove down to the area of town where this was. Like I said, it's about an hour or so away from my house. So I thought, why not? I'll show you guys. Instead of showing you a map, I'll show you the actual drive. So let me play that for you right now. It's just a few minutes long, but you'll get an idea of how close together these things were. Like I said, normally drop the kid off at daycare, go get breakfast at Chick-fil-A, go to the office. This day, Ross took Cooper into Chick-fil-A, and the Chick-fil-A employees said like he brought him in and was like showing him off and stuff, which they found weird. But keep in mind, they found this weird after they found out what happened that day. So I don't know how weird it actually was. Like he was like everybody said he loved his son very much. He was proud of his son. It took a lot for them to get pregnant. So he was showing off his son. All right. I'll show you my little excursion that I did this morning. All right, so we're going to start. Hi guys, we're going to do the drive that Ross Harris did the day his son died. So we're going to start here by the Chick-fil-A. We're going to go down to his office and sit there for just a second, and then continue on to where he discovered that his son was in the car. So come for a ride with me. Let's flip you around. It's right here to the right, and we're going to go right past it. Of course, it is Sunday today, so Chick-fil-A is closed, so I cannot get a diet lemonade like I like to do at the Chick-fil-A when I'm there. They have the best lemonade there. I'm sorry to anybody who does not live close to a Chick-fil-A. I'm not sure how the audio is turning out, so if for some reason the audio is not turning out, I will just talk over this when I play it later today. So there's the Chick-fil-A right there. He went inside the Chick-fil-A. Now normally he would go through the drive-thru in the mornings, but he did have Cooper with him that day, and he went inside. Now you can see right here there's no way to turn left, so he would have gone out this way and done a U-turn over here, which is what we're going to do. And as we make this U-turn, you'll see a Home Depot here at this corner. That's the Home Depot that he did go to during lunch. During his lunch break, he did go to Home Depot to buy light bulbs, and that's the Home Depot right there. And you'll see just how close everything is here. It's hard to get an idea from a map. Now, after he makes this U-turn at this light, he would have had to make a left-hand turn on Pace's Ferry to get to Cooper's daycare. He did not. He went straight at this light and went right to his office. And that's from the time he left the Chick-fil-A till now. We're like a minute in right now. That is not a lot of time to forget where you were going. Now, I understand that in the morning, some people have a morning haze, morning fog. It's happened to me from time to time. Usually I'm a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed morning person, but it's happened from time to time where I have that morning fog. It's less than a mile down this road where his office is. Less than a mile. So we're going to head down this way, and it's just around this bend. faces the Home Depot offices. They're called the tree house is what they call it, and you can see it's very wooded area here. Very wooded, and it's tucked back into the forest here. We can't go in, it's private property. And I'm not gonna move the cones to do that, to show you where he parked and everything. But this is the parking lot where he parked. He spent about 30 seconds in his car in this parking lot here, and then walked into the office. Didn't go back until about 4 o'clock when he left for work. Well, he did go back to put the light bulbs that he bought at lunch into his car, but he just threw them in. He opened the door and threw them in. He didn't look in his car. So we're gonna do a 3-point turn and continue on. At 4 o'clock, he left this office park and he decided he was going to go to the movies. He was meeting some friends at the movies. He would have made a right out of this parking lot, which we'll do here, and go down to the Cumberland Mall area. I did not drive this before I'm filming, so hopefully I remember where I'm going. I do know where this parking lot is because I've been there a lot. Actually, I organized a meetup for another YouTuber, and the place that we met was at this parking lot, the same parking lot we're going to now. And interesting story, my sister came with me, and she met her husband there at the meetup. So, I mean, you could say I'm a matchmaker. They're married now. They've been married for over a year. So, you know, I guess I know what I'm doing in the matchmaking world. I did not know that they were going to meet. Who am I kidding? So, we got to get over. I'm going to go through the mall and out the other side. Follow all of these people. They know where I'm going. I bet there is an easier way to get to Acres Mill Road. I just don't know what it is. This is the way I would go. I'm going to try not to yell at the cars in front of me like I normally would if I'm in the car by myself. I don't get road rage, I get road insulty. This area of, I guess we're in Marietta here. Maybe we're in Atlanta now. I'm not sure. Marietta might be across the other side of the highway. But Mr. Zed and I got married in one of these hotels, these big buildings over here to the left. You'll see. That's where we had our wedding reception, is in one of those hotels over there. I think I can just go straight across here. The last time I was in this mall parking lot, it was right before Christmas for my company Christmas party. We went to one of these restaurants and it was packed, man. You could not find I was parked like a mile away, it felt like, to go to one of these restaurants. I'm sure there was an easier way to do that than go through the mall parking lot, but even taking the long way, you can see it's only been a few minutes. This is my, I mean, it's not really new anymore, but I did notice when I got this car last year that when I stop the car, if I have anything in the back seat, a lot of times I'll have my gym bag back there or, you know, my work bag, something in the back seat. And if there's anything at all on the back seat, my dashboard beeps at me and tells me to check the back seat. And I think it's because of cases like this that it does that. My worry is that because it happens even when there's just stuff back there, it doesn't have to be any sort of weight or anything. My worry is that people will start to ignore that warning, and it will still happen. So he was going to the movie theater over here at Acres Mill, and we're going to get to the spot where he discovered that his son, unfortunately, had been in his car since 9 o'clock that morning when he got to work. He's coming down Acres Mill here. I imagine that it was about here where he realized his son was in the car and he picked the first spot to pull over, and that was here. And he pulled right in here and he stopped right about here. I'll stop here for just a minute, but he stopped here and he started screaming and yelling, and there was people here. It was, you know, it was on a weekday after work. He got off of work at 4, so it was about 4:30 when this happened, and bypassers came and took Cooper out of the car, started CPR, and called the police. He didn't even call the police himself. So let me park here. I don't want to be in the drive lane. And you can see this is just behind some stores here. This is a very populated area. So there were passerbys there to help. Thank goodness. You'll see in the video, the dash cam video, that he was acting very weird when he stopped here. When the police arrived, he was acting very, very odd. And the way he acted is why I believe he was found guilty. Now, there's no way to say what the normal way is to act when something like this happens. There's a wide variety of the way people might react when something like this happens, and he had a wide range of emotions, and people found it odd the way he acted, and I think that's what convicted him the first time. Anyway, this is On the Ground Tours with Katie Zed. I hope you enjoyed it. I wanted to do this with the Blood Mountain case that I did, but I just didn't have time to drive up to Blood Mountain that week. Luckily, this is much closer for me, and you know, only about an hour from my house, so I was able to get here for you. And this is much better than maps. You know how I like my maps. I think On the Ground is way better. Anyway, back to me live streaming. Take it away, in person, Katie. Hello. In person Katie here, reporting live. I hope you guys like that. I thought since I was so close to where this happened, it would be nice to actually see the area that it was, just because it is so close, and you could see that, you know, it was just it's just a minute from the time they left that Chick-fil-A till the time he would have had to turn to take Cooper to daycare. Just like a block away. So at 9:19 a.m., Ross and Cooper leave the Chick-fil-A at Pace's Ferry Road and Cumberland Drive, which is on the way to Harris's job at the Home Depot. Surveillance cameras at the Chick-fil-A show Cooper wide awake and happy. Harris parks the SUV and goes into his office. So you can see him here. This is what I wanted to show you. This is the way the SUV was set up, with the car seat in the middle, and obviously the driver's seat is here, but Cooper's head and Justin, or Ross, he goes by Ross, Ross's head were just inches away from each other, but the car seat is always there. So seeing the car seat in your peripheral vision would be, that would be a normal. So I think that might be part of the reason why he didn't notice him in the car seat. You couldn't see his head from the perspective of the driver's seat. And this is him going to the Home Depot and at the office, and this is where he parked. Right there. The area that he parked in was actually in the shade, which if you were purposely trying to murder your son by hot car, I would think you would have parked in the bright sun. It is a wooded area like you saw in the video, but I would think if that was my goal, I would have parked it in a spot that was sunny all day long. He did not. It was in the shade in the morning and in the sun in the afternoon. Just want to make sure I'm not missing something on this page. All right, here's him parking at the Home Depot. Oh no, this is the lunch break. Sorry, we're not to that yet. That's next. So he parks, goes inside at lunchtime. The exact time is not specified, but we do know that he got back from lunch at like 12:45. But he takes his break from work. Some friends pick him up from the Home Depot office building, and he goes to the Publix, which is I've watched a couple of other. I usually do my notes first, and then I see what other people are saying about the case. I did do that, and a bunch of people who covered this case who are not from here called Publix a restaurant. Publix is not a restaurant. It's a grocery store, but they do have like a deli counter where you can get sandwiches. So they went to Publix to get sandwiches that day. And then they stopped at that Home Depot where I did that U-turn. And Ross picked up some light bulbs. When he got back to the office building, he put the light bulbs in his car. What the prosecution is claiming in this case is that why would you throw light bulbs into your car without looking in your car? Which you watch in this video right here I'm about to show you. He just opens the door, throws the light bulbs in, and leaves. People were saying, like, why would you throw light bulbs? But light bulbs are packed pretty well where you can toss them into the front seat of your car and nothing's going to happen with them, So you'll see a car pull up here. This is his car parked there. He gets out, throws something in his car, and then walks back into his office. There he goes. He gets out of the car there. And by the way, this is such poor quality because there's not, none of this was released via public record, but the court case was was broadcast live. So this is a recording of the TV that was in the courtroom. So a lot of the videos that we're going to see today are like this. They all have sort of a bluish tint to them, and it's a video recording of the television inside the courtroom.
Inside the vehicle.
No.
Okay. Well, did you see kind of a blur go across the windshield there?
Looks like an arm goes in.
Like an arm goes in,
Yeah,
right?
leans down a little bit, an arm goes in. And the body, and the reason I say that, the head's out.
The head is out, above the roof line, correct?
It's scooting down. I mean, again, if the angle respected that you're looking at, doesn't appear to be going in the vehicle. There's definitely a movement down. It looks like you can see an arm go in.
An arm, one arm?
I don't know. It appears to be one arm.
It appears to be one arm.
It appears to be one arm. So he doesn't even like look down. It doesn't look like he doesn't look into the car at all, as far as I could tell. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys. There might be some new people here. If you donate at all, either on the Rumble Rants or the Super Chats, Xena will get a milk bone. She's worn out from barking at the neighbors, but she's here. So yeah, if you want to wake her up, feel free to buy her a milk bone. So Ross Harris was not a great guy, which is part of the reason I believe he was convicted the first time, right? So while he was at the Chick-fil-A with his son, he was sexting, which is, I assume everybody knows what sexting is, but just in case you don't know, he was talking with women who are not his wife online, sexy messages. Ross Harris was kind of a degenerate asshole. And I believe this is what distracted him. I've gone back and forth on this case. I went from it was just an accident to he did it on purpose to it was just an accident, back and forth so many times on this case. I want to know at the end where you guys land. So he's messaging hookers, harlots online, one of which happened to be a teenager, an underage teenager, which he did get convicted of sending dick pics to a teenager. And he got sentenced to, I think, 12 years for that. So he's not a great guy by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just not sure he killed his son. You know, people can be a not a good guy and also not murder your son. You know, there's a possibility that's happened. And it is also a possibility that because he was having all these extramarital emotional affairs and real, like he did hire prostitutes. It comes out in the trial that he is actually sleeping with other women. So all of this is on his mind, and I think he got distracted. So yeah, while he's at breakfast with his son, also just after lunch, at 3 p.m., because you know they got all his phone records and stuff. At 3 p.m. is when he was messaging, sending dick pics to this underage girl. At 3:16, he texts his wife that says, "When are you going to get my buddy?" So in his head, she's still picking him up from daycare at this point. And now this could be an elaborate ruse to make it seem like he has no idea that his son's in the car. But, you know, also that day they were planning on going on a cruise. So he was looking up at work how to get a child a passport as well, right? At 3:45, Harris tells a friend that he's leaving work early to try to go catch a movie. So at 4:16, Harris leaves the office located at 2600 Cumberland Boulevard near Smyrna and Cumberland Mall. and he starts heading towards the movie theater over there at Acres Mill. After driving about a mile, Harris turns onto Acres Mill Road and makes a right turn into the parking lot of the shopping center. He stops the SUV, leaving the driver's side door open as he gets his son out of the car. Witnesses at the shopping center watch as a frantic Harris tries to revive the boy, whose color was off, the witnesses say. He doesn't appear to be breathing. Harris is frantic and screaming, "What have I done? What have I done?" Bystanders start CPR. So that's key here, too, is that he did not start CPR at all. It was the bystanders that started doing CPR on Cooper. Witnesses also called the police, and the firefighters and police arrive on scene within seconds of the first phone call. They happen to be like right in the area. Just like right there. Here we go. I have visual aids for you guys. So here's the car after the firefighters have arrived. At 4:45, Leanna arrived at the daycare to pick up Cooper and learns that Ross never dropped him off. And she thought at first that this is not the right video. Hold on, let me find the right one. I thought I had everything. I really thought I had everything lined up correctly. Apparently not. That's all right. Good thing I put links in my notes. Hold, please. I put not only notes, but timestamps.
Leanna, this is...
Notes and timestamps. 5:02 is where we want on this video. So you'll see her here arriving.
I left work probably around 4.
We'll see her arriving at the daycare and like just going into full panic mode.
I had about an hour drive, got to the daycare and walked in just like I would any other day.
Security cameras capture Leanna from the moment she arrives.
The daycare teacher that was there, she said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, I'm here to get Cooper. And she just kind of looked at me and she said, "Well, Cooper's not here." And I thought she was joking. I just looked at her and I was like, "No, really, where's Cooper?" And she looked me dead in the face and got my attention. She was like, "He's not here."
What did you think?
I didn't know what to think. It didn't make any sense.
Were you scared?
Absolutely, immediately.
Of
What were
course
the
she's
thoughts?
scared.
Did somebody take him from daycare? I think that was the first thought I had. And then the thought crossed my mind, Ross must have left him in the car.
And you said that.
Now that's key right there. That's the part I wanted to play. She said to the daycare worker, Ross must have left him in the car. Why would she be thinking that? There's another spot during his police interrogation. We're not going to go over his interrogation today. We may do it tomorrow. We'll see how I feel. But during the interrogation, she comes into the room into the police station and says to Ross, "Did you say too much?" So for a long time, they suspected her of having a part of this, which is just, she didn't. She didn't have a part of it. It was, there's no evidence that she did, but it was looking kind of fishy there for a little bit. Cobb County Police spokesman Officer Mike Bowman confirms that the toddler had been pronounced dead. A crowd has gathered on the sidewalks of the shopping center. Harris police later confirm, is now in handcuffs in the back of a patrol car, and he cursed out an officer. So he's rageful at the officer. Now, here's another part that I think got him convicted. While he's handcuffed in the back of the police car, he starts complaining to the police officers that the handcuffs hurt. My handcuffs are too tight. The handcuffs hurt. He also says, you're going to like, my mind was blown. He says to these officers, "It's too hot back here. I can't breathe. I'm not getting any air." He was in a police car with the air conditioning on at this point. He literally just left his son in a car to die, and he's complaining that it's not cool enough in the stinking car. Harris was arrested and charged with murder. He's booked into the Cobb County Jail. Let's see if my tabs are back into a. I don't know how these got all messed up. There we go. Maybe I'll just have to pull them one at a time. The community was outraged when he was charged, as was I believe, at the time.
The Tuscaloosa native accused of intentionally leaving his son in a hot car to die will stand trial. A grand jury in Cobb County, Georgia, issued 8 indictments against Ross Harris today. WIAT 42 News reporter Natalie Tejada is live in Marietta, Georgia, where that decision came down earlier today.
Sherry, those 8 charges listed in that indictment range from malice murder to felony murder to sexual exploitation of a child to cruelty to children. The 5-page indictment alleges that Harris acted with malice in planning to leave Cooper in the hot car, and that caused the child cruel and excessive physical pain. The indictment also brought up Harris's alleged sexting relationship with an underage girl that he requested from and furnished to her lewd materials. That was 3 of the 8 charges.
We are pleased with the pace and the thoroughness of this investigation, which continues on today. The evidence in this case has led us to this point today. Whether or not it leads us to anyone else remains to be answered.
Now, since Georgia is a death penalty state, some of those charges could qualify Harris for the death penalty. But at this time, the prosecution has not said whether or not they will seek the death penalty in this case. Reporting live in Marietta, Georgia, Natalie Tejeda, WIAT 42 News, covering.
Spoiler alert, they did not seek the death penalty in this case. They did seek life in prison without the possibility of parole. On June 28th, Cooper's funeral is held in Tuscaloosa. That's where most of their family was. By phone from jail, Harris thanks supporters for standing behind him. His wife, Leanna, also speaks at the service. Leanna says, this is another reason why people suspected her. Remember, there's no evidence. It's just weird things that she said that made people suspect her of maybe being in on it. But she says that Cooper is in the most peaceful, wonderful place there is, and I wouldn't bring him back even if I could, which is a weird thing for a grieving mother to say. But you have to remember that she's talking about heaven. Leanna was very religious. She went to church every Sunday. Actually, one of the things that drew her to Ross is that he played the guitar at church. Like, he was part of the church community just like she was. So the media went into the funeral, which is wrong in my opinion. The media goes into the funeral, doesn't share on the news her whole, like, the whole thing that she said. They took those sentences out of context and played them on the 5 o'clock news over and over and over again. It is just wrong. It is just wrong, the way the media treated this woman. I understand that out of context, saying that I wouldn't bring him back even if I could does sound weird. It does. But you have to put the whole thing into context. On June 29th, search warrants released to the public revealed that Leanna Harris admitted that, like her husband, she had recently researched car deaths and how they occur. On July 3rd, the Cobb Superior Court Judge Frank Cox rules there's probable cause to charge Harris with his son's murder and denies bail. So Harris is going to remain in jail. Now we're to June of 2014. Oh, sorry. Okay, here we go. My bad. It takes me a minute. I apparently all of my tabs got messed up, so I have to pull each tab from my notes separately, which is why I'm glad I put the links in the notes instead of just relying on... Holy cow, the dogs learned how to open the door. On July 10th, 2014. Let me skip back. So the judge ruled that the sexting, like the sexting texts and stuff like that, are going to be allowed in the trial, which I don't know if that should have been or not. I don't think one thing has to do with the other, but this is the reason why he was convicted. He was acting weird at the scene, and then they find out that he's sexting young women, while his son is dying in the car. On July 10th, I have to sneeze. Hold on a second. That was a big one. Home Depot fired dude on July 10th. Home Depot confirms that it has terminated Justin Ross Harris's employment. Also on this day, it's reported that Leanna Harris has retained her own legal counsel. Also on July 10th, 2014, the toxicology report comes out. Where is it? Where's the toxicology report? There it is. So the toxicology report comes out that there is no other marks or anything on Cooper. It was just that he died of hypothermia, which when I think of hypothermia is when it's too cold. Hyperthermia is when it's too hot. But either way, it is a... people die if you're either too hot or too cold. So the medical examiner report basically is saying that this kid was not abused in any way. It's not like he... some of these cases we cover, there's bruises all over the kid's back and stuff like that, or shaken baby syndrome. None of that occurred in this case. The only thing was the hot car. That's it. The whole report, just the hot car. Leanna states in August in a crime victim report that she believes that Ross is innocent and calls him a wonderful father.
A Channel 2 Action News exclusive. For the first time, a Marietta woman is talking about her son's hot car death. Leanna Taylor sat down with Channel 2's Mike Pachenik to talk about her grief and her anger and why she believes jurors...
I'm going to grab Xena while this is playing because I do see we have a donation over there on Rumble, and she gets a cookie.
Got it wrong when they sentenced her ex-husband.
He was a very happy little boy.
Leanna Taylor was a doting mother to son Cooper.
He was very outgoing.
And seemingly happy wife to husband Ross.
That's all gone.
In an instant, when Cooper died in his father's hot SUV in this Cobb County parking lot 2.5 years ago. For Taylor, the pain persists.
Every day is difficult. It doesn't get easier.
This tattoo of Cooper's baby footprint, a permanent reminder of what she lost.
He's seen as a child that wasn't loved and wasn't wanted, and that just wasn't true. And I don't want people to think of my son that way.
After Cooper died, Taylor says she wasn't able to grieve him privately because of the dark cloud of suspicion hanging over her head.
I know in my heart that I didn't have anything to do with it.
Cobb County police never charged Taylor, and to this day say she's not a suspect in Cooper's death. But Taylor says early statements from detectives and prosecutors put her under an uncomfortable microscope.
They're not going to apologize to me. I don't anticipate it. I don't expect it. They're not going to come forward and say that they were absolutely wrong about me. If they come forward and say that they were wrong about me, there's a chance they were wrong about Ross.
A jury believed Ross Harris planned to kill Cooper that day because he wanted a child-free life.
He was a wonderful father.
Taylor says the Ross Harris she knew loved their son.
There was no evidence in our life as a family of him being angry towards Cooper or aggravated by having Cooper. Cooper was what made him happy.
Harris is appealing his conviction and life sentence.
Do you hope he wins his appeal?
I don't think that he deserves to be in prison for the rest of his life.
We sat down with the lead prosecutor on this case to let him respond to Leanna Taylor's comments. He's defending his office and the trial's outcome.
We're not going to apologize for seeking to investigate fully the murder of a 22-month-old beautiful little child by a person that just did these acts for the most selfish of reasons. We're not going to apologize by trying to turn over every rock, cross every T, and dot every I whatsoever in this case.
We spoke at length with Leanna Taylor about her husband's infidelity, what she says she would tell him if she had a chance. Coming up on Channel 2 Action News at 6. Reporting from Marietta, Mike Pachenik, Channel 2 Action News.
Go to WSBTV.com to see a photo gallery.
So they really went, the prosecution really went hard after Ross. And there's no evidence that he did this on purpose except for text messages of him saying things like, texting with women and not mentioning his son, or texting with women saying, I need a break, which a lot of parents do need a break, especially when they're being woken up in the middle of the night, right? By a crying baby. They're tired. They need a break. So him saying that he needs a vacation or needs a break from his kid is the only evidence. What got this guy convicted is the fact that he was a degenerate asshole who was cheating on his wife, hiring prostitutes, and because of one of the women that he was texting was underage. I do not support any of that. None of that. You guys know me. I'm not pro degeneracy. I'm very anti degeneracy. However, I don't think somebody should be sent to prison for the rest of their life for a mistake. Now, if you want to charge him with neglecting, he did neglect his child, right? He neglected his child by forgetting he was in the car. Let me give Xena a milk bone. Thank you very much, Erica, for the donation of $2 over there on Rumble. I appreciate that very much. I think this is a good time to do our ad break, actually. So we'll give Xena a milk bone. Just so you guys know, anybody who donates, Xena does get a milk bone live on air. If there's double digits come in, we will bring the terrorist Ava up here. I'm just checking to make sure there's no membership renewals or anything because they don't show up. There is not. So here we go, Xena. This is from Erica. Did you give me a high five? There it is. Did you touch? There you go. They're itty bitty tiny, so I'm gonna give her 2. There's another one. There you go. And those milk bones are literally from number 2. She sent us a package that had these little mini milk bones in there. Thank you very much, number 2. Appreciate that very much. So yeah, where's my notes? Where are we at? Oh, I'm doing my ad. Duh. You can get the merchandise at kdz.com. kdz.com. Do I have a discount code right now? I do not. I'm going to create, I think the discount code is Xena10 right now. If you try to order something and it is not Xena10, let me know. I'll check after the show, but Xena10 for 10% off. And we will, we're going to do that for 2 weeks. And then we'll reevaluate. So Xena 10, that's XENA 10 for 10% off of the merchandise. I still haven't changed the merch store banner roller here at the bottom. So it still says, let's fix that. We'll do a little maintenance live on air. Xena 10. Save. Now we can put that up. How easy was that? And it took me like a week to remember to do it. KDZ.com, discount code Xena10 for all of the merchandise. This is how I keep the lights on. This is how we keep going, is by the donations and by you all purchasing the merchandise. We have lots of good stuff over there. If you think of something you do want to have that's branded and it's not there, feel free to email me, let me know what you want. I can create it. All of my contact information is in the description of the videos. It's in the About Me section of my YouTube page. You can find me. I have email address. I have a physical address where you can send stuff if you want to, like these milk bones were sent to me. And there's even a phone number. So I am very easy to find if one wants to get a hold of me. In the store, you will also, all of my QR code stuff has disappeared. All right, so Restream needs a little maintenance, but I can pull it up this way. So you can go to kdz.com. We have all of the stuff. You can also get Steven's stuff over there too. The SI Steven Ignoramus merchandise is on my site as well. There's hats, there's magnets, there is this notebook, which Erica just ordered one. You'll have to let me know how that is. I need to get myself one. The Xena, True Crime with Xena dog bandana, very cute, featuring Katie Z, because we all know you're here to see Xena and not me. All right, back to the show. That's enough of that. I hate doing the advertisements, but I'm told that that's what YouTubers do. Don't forget to hit the like button, by the way. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'm almost to 3,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can get there by the end of the month. Who knows? Maybe we can do it. It's nice to set goals. So, where were we, guys? Let's put the chat back up so I can see what you guys are saying. If somebody can throw my Rumble link in the chat too, subscribe to me on Rumble. A lot of the shows that I do, the live shows, I don't keep up on YouTube. If you want to watch the replays, you have to go over to Rumble to see those. So definitely check out Rumble. Okay, so now we're to September 4th, 2014. Justin Ross Harris is indicted for malice murder, 2 counts of felony murder, cruelty to children in the first and second degree, criminal attempt to commit a felony, or harmful materials to minors. Major Victory wants me to get Ava, I guess. When we come to our next break, we will get Ava up here. Major Victory. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. He says, Oh, it's just a sticker. It's a sticker. It's a hippo character throwing a blazing uppercut into the air while the word KO appears in the background. I like the description. The description is good. All right, the cause of death. Yes, 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 we did that already. A series of pretrial hearings begin to determine what evidence is admissible. Cobb County Superior Court Judge Mary Staley denies a motion to keep pre-trial hearings closed from the public. So Judge Staley decides that conversations that Harris had with Cobb County Police on June 18th, 2014, after he had requested an attorney, are admissible. This is one of the things that comes up on appeal because he requested an attorney and they kept talking to him. Yet, see, the police are not like, if you request an attorney, the cops need to stop the questioning. They need to stop the questioning right there and get you an attorney. They did not do that in this case. And not only that in. The Cobb police describe Harris as unemotional and cordial and well acquainted with the charges against him. This judge, Judge Mary, decides that online chats that Harris had with women are admissible. Another thing that should not be, it should definitely not be in the trial for leaving his son in the car. Prosecutors claim that in those chats, Harris told women that he would leave his wife if not for their son. In one of those chats, held on the morning that Cooper was last alive, Harris posted, "I love my son and all, but we both need escapes." That's not saying you're going to kill your son. That means I'm very tired from not sleeping from this kid getting up all night. The police say that's the motive to kill the kid, though, and they allow that into the trial. Like I said, I'm very torn on this case. I go back and forth in my mind, because this guy is a piece of crap.
New this hour, an alleged prostitute.
He's definitely a piece of crap. However, I don't think, he's guilty of being a dumbass for sure.
Is part of last-minute arguments in the hot car death trial. That trial moved from Cobb County to Glynn County to find an impartial jury. Channel 2's Ross Cavett is live in Brunswick this afternoon, and Ross Harris's lawyers are trying to keep one witness out of this trial. Ross.
It was an eventful last hearing here in Brunswick. Ross Harris actually spoke. Then he heard arguments about a prostitute who prosecutors say had at one point described Harris as fat and dumpy. Prosecutors want jurors to hear about Ross Harris hooking up with a prostitute prior to his son's death.
I mean, she's not wrong about him being fat and dumpy. I'll give her that.
An identification by the prostitute that the defendant paid for sex and met up with at a hotel in Cobb County a few weeks before the Cooper's death.
The hookup goes along with the prosecution theory that Harris was unhappy with his life and wife and wanted to start a new life without the burdens of being a parent. Harris's lawyers complained detectives pressured that prostitute to ID their client.
When they confronted her, they gave her an ultimatum that she could either go to jail or she could cooperate.
And they said she didn't really identify Harris directly.
She was not able to give any sort of identifying information other than skin color and fat and dumping.
The judge told the lawyers they'd have to argue more on that next month. Judge Mary Staley Clark did side with the Harris team about a juror prosecutors wanted to throw out of the pool. They claim she lied about her membership and postings in a Facebook group called the Justin Ross Harris Trial Watch. Harris lawyer Maddox Kilgore liked that juror and got her to say she did not intentionally lie to the judge.
It's not that I had amnesia and didn't remember my emotional reaction to it. I just didn't remember that I had posted those things.
Stand up, Ross. Tell the judge you don't want this juror struck. Yes, Your Honor, I do not want this juror struck.
Judge wanted to hear that from Harris's mouth, so that's why he got up and said that. They kept that juror in the pool, so there are 45 Glynn County residents that will show up here October 3rd for final jury selection just before the opening statements in this high-profile trial get underway. We're live outside the courthouse. Ross Cavett, Channel 2 Action News.
I think that just the way this whole trial went about, like how they went about it, is kind of crazy. On December 14th, 2015, defense lawyers for Harris accused the Cobb police of illegally taking his cell phone without a warrant. We have something called the Fourth Amendment. You have to have a warrant to, be going through people's cell phones. I believe the discount code is Xena10, but if that doesn't work, just give me 20 minutes after the show and I will get that corrected. Somebody's asking about the discount code. The defense calls that a fishing expedition, which it totally was, to be looking through his cell phone without a warrant. They moved to dismiss any evidence taken from the phone. The defense also claims that when investigators sought a warrant for Harris, they portrayed Harris as unemotional when the witnesses claim that he was hysterical. Which is it? So the police are lying about this guy. The police are lying about this guy to get a warrant, and there's plenty of eyewitnesses. You saw the shopping center. We were there this morning. There's people there. They saw what happened. He was hyper emotional. He was hysterical. He was not unemotional at all. December 15th, 2015, Cobb police testified that Harris's initial statements contradicted the evidence, which gave them probable cause to seek a warrant. Judge Staley denies the defense motions, effectively preserving key evidence collected by police against Harris before he was a suspect during his interrogation and after his arrest. This judge should not be a judge. This judge is just allowing these police officers to trample over people's rights. Like I said, I'm not defending Ross Harris. He was a piece of crap. He neglected his child because he was sexting with girls, with underage girls at that. And he forgot his kid was in the car. He's a piece of crap, but you can't be trampling on people's rights just because you don't like the dude. Like, that's a really slippery slope. I hate that term, but it really is a slippery slope. Okay, so we're to February 2016 now. Leanna hears this evidence for the first time about the prostitutes and all that, and she files for divorce. Who can blame her, honestly? The defense lawyers say evidence of Justin's extramarital affairs is irrelevant and should be excluded. Guess what the judge says? The judge allows it. 8 new charges are filed against Harris, including 2 counts of sexual exploitation of children and 6 harmful materials to a minor. So this is something that happened after, like, this has nothing to do, again, this has nothing to do with leaving your kid in the car. And should not be allowed into the trial. And it was allowed into the These charges were not brought against him until 2016. The death occurred in 2014. So how are you going to bring charges that were filed on March 4th, 2016 into a trial of something that happened in June of 2014? They did. They did it. Cobb County District Attorney Vic Reynolds says Leanna Harris, now her name is Leanna Taylor after the divorce, may be called as a witness, and she was, and she defended him in court. She stuck to her, I was going to say story, but she stuck to the truth of saying he was a great father, and she doesn't think that he purposely killed Cooper. She just doesn't believe it. And she's the one that he cheated on. You know, she's the one whose trust was broken by him having these extramarital affairs. So in August, the jury selection begins. 239 jurors were summoned, and they had to narrow it down to just a handful of those. 14, I think. They had 2 alternates. Over the next 2 weeks, an overwhelming majority of prospective jurors say out loud that they believe Harris is guilty before they even start the trial. They've made up their mind, and it's because of the press, and it's because of the police officers making statements to the press. One of the jurors one of the people that got called for jury duty said that Ross needs to rot in hell and he needs to go down. Like, this is what they're saying before they hear any of the evidence. So if you don't think that this guy was railroaded, I mean, I think I have to keep adding the caveat that, yeah, this guy was a piece of crap and he cheated on his wife and it was a degenerate piece of crap. But it doesn't mean you can convict him of murder. So 41 of the prospective jurors qualified. Harris's defense files a motion for a change of venue. Judge Staley grants a change of venue, saying that she had witnessed firsthand pervasive bias against Harris and that trying the case in Cobb County would not be just. Finally, this woman does something correct. It's announced that the trial will resume in Brunswick on September 12th. The Cobb County board authorizes a $200,000 relocation cost of the trial. I'm not sure why it costs $200,000 to change the venue, but apparently, I mean, I guess that's for like hotel rooms and stuff. For like the jury's not going with them, so it would just be for the lawyers and the to move him from one jail to the other. I guess he's in custody. $200,000 seems a bit excessive to charge the taxpayers of Cobb County to move the trial. I'm not saying that the trial shouldn't be moved. The trial absolutely should be moved. I just don't know about that price tag. Okay, here's something. Here is something that was very interesting to me. So they ruined the jury pool in Cobb County, right? They ruined the jury pool in Cobb County. So what do they do? For several weeks in August of 2016, keep in mind the trial's set to begin in September of 2016. In August of 2016, I don't know who they is, but they ran an ad in the Brunswick News recommending readers listen to the AJC's Breakdown podcast. The AJC did not place the ad. Concerned that the ad was trying to sway the trial, the Cobb DA's office subpoenaed the newspaper to disclose who bought the ad. The paper complied, and it was determined that the ad buyer was not a potential juror nor involved in the case. So some rando person is so angry at this stranger he doesn't know because of the bias that the media has implanted, and the police, by the way, has implanted in their head, that they're willing to purchase an ad to taint the jury pool in Brunswick. This is the more I looked into this case, the crazier and crazier it got. So, yeah, this article is all about that. But it is just insane how they tried to taint this. On August 19th, 2016, Judge Mary Staley rules that David Diamond, a psychologist who will be an expert witness for the defense, may not give his opinion that he thinks Harris did not act intentionally when leaving Cooper in the SUV. So they're saying that the defense's psychologist is not allowed to testify, but they're letting in evidence that that was obtained illegally via the cell phone, which there was no warrant for, and via videotape of an interview that was done illegally after he had asked for a lawyer. They're letting that evidence in, but the defense finds a psychologist who says, I don't think he did it intentionally. They're saying, nope, that guy can't testify. So he may not give his opinion that he thinks that Harris did not act intentionally when leaving Cooper in the SUV. Stanley Clark also ruled that the SUV may be shown to jurors as evidence, and that a 3D animation of the crime scene that the prosecutor's created may also be shown to the jurors. The trial restarts in Brunswick with a new round of jury selection. A jury of 6 men and 6 women is selected. In a late pretrial motion, Stanley Clark allows testimony of a prostitute witness. The prosecution delivers its opening statement. Ross Harris gets emotional as the defense delivers the opening statement. The jury hears testimony from the officers at the scene, the witnesses who tried to help Cooper by performing CPR. The jury is also shown a video of Harris's arrest and time spent in the patrol car. Let me close some of these tabs. They just got really wacky out of order for some reason. I don't think I played this one yet.
Leaving his son in a hot car to die will stand trial. A grand jury in Cobb County, Georgia, issued 8 indictments against Ross Harris today. WIAT 42 News reporter Natalie Tejada is live in Marietta, Georgia, where that decision came down earlier today.
Sherry, those 8 charges listed in that
I did show that one already. It was this one I didn't show.
Last-minute arguments in the hot car death trial. That trial moved from Cobb County to Glynn County to find an impartial jury. Channel 2's Ross Cavett is live in Brunswick this afternoon, and Ross Harris's lawyers are trying to keep one witness out of this trial, Ross.
It was an eventful last hearing here in Brunswick. Ross Harris actually spoke. Then he heard arguments about a prostitute who prosecutors say had at one point described Harris as fat and dumpy. Prosecutors want jurors to hear about Ross Harris hooking up with a prostitute prior to his son's death.
An identification by the prostitute that the defendant paid for
This
sex
prostitute,
at
man.
a hotel in Cobb County a few weeks before the Cooper's death.
The hookup goes along with the prosecution theory that Harris was unhappy with his life and wife and
All right. I wanted to play the fat and dumpy part again. On December 5th, 2006, November 14th, 2016, the jury finds Ross Harris guilty on all counts in his son's hot car death. Harris showed little to no emotion as the verdict was read. The Cobb County District Attorney said the verdict is not a victory or a reason to celebrate, but justice was served. Harris's lawyers said they've already begun the paperwork on an appeal. On December 5th, 2016, the judge sentenced Harris. What is happening? The judge sentenced my notes keep disappearing from the screen. I'm sorry. It's kind of choppy because my notes keep disappearing from the screen. Sentenced him to life in prison plus 34 years. He will get credit for the 2 years already served. The defense says they're completing their paperwork to file for a new trial. 34 life in prison plus 34 years. Good thing he gets that as 2 years, those extra 2 years off the time he already served, right?
Of painting Ross to be a philanderer or someone that was unfaithful to his wife had nothing to do with the love that he had for Cooper.
Why won't it restart? Here we go.
Maintained that Ross was innocent, and that the strategy of painting Ross to be a philanderer or someone that was unfaithful to his wife had nothing to do with the love that he had for Cooper.
Attorney Carlos Rodriguez is still reading the opinion from the Georgia Supreme Court overturning Ross Harris's murder conviction.
The Supreme Court points out that you remove all of that, and the state's case wasn't even particularly strong. The amount of evidence of Ross being a loving and doting parent was overwhelming. It was substantial.
The 6-3 majority.
Let's close some of this stuff. Maybe I can get the video to play if I close all of these tabs. Well, we made it 38 seconds in. 38 whole seconds. Whoa, that's loud. Sorry about your ears.
We begin this noon with breaking news. The Supreme Court of Georgia.
Nope, and my computer's going to take a crap.
Has just reversed a Cobb County father's murder conviction after his young son died in a hot car in 2014. The court stating that the jury heard and saw improperly admitted evidence during Ross Harris's trial, and that's what has led to his reverse decision in that murder conviction. But it could be upheld, and they did upheld Harris's convictions related to sex crimes involving a teenage girl. Harris immediately came under investigation after his 22-month-old son Cooper was left in a hot SUV for hours and Cooper died. Harris claimed he was supposed to have taken his son to daycare that morning, but he broke his usual routine and forgot he had his baby in the car. But prosecutors argued Harris intentionally killed his son because he was seeking to escape his marriage. And during the trial, they presented evidence to try to corroborate allegations he was seeking relationships with young women online. A jury found him guilty of murder and sex crimes, and he was sentenced to life without parole, but he appealed his case. So when we reached out to the Cobb County DA's office to see if it intends to retry Harris, they told us they plan to file a motion for reconsideration. So a lot of people are wondering right now when you hear this information, because it was a huge story, you say, well, what's next? And could now he be released from prison with the most serious part of his conviction overturned? Let's bring in now 11 Alive's legal analyst, Paige. Paige, what can you tell us about what could come next in a case like this?
Well, Aisha, I think the most important thing to know is Justin Ross Harris is not leaving prison anytime soon. The conviction on the sex crime charges, he was sentenced to 12 years for those charges. He's still going to have to serve those regardless of what happens to the murder charges. But it is now up to the district attorney in Cobb County whether to retry him on the murder charges relating to the death of his son, Cooper. That decision will be made probably within the next few months, and then he may face another trial on the murder charges while he's still serving his prison time on the sex crime charges.
So let's dig a little bit deeper now into how the High Court
came to this decision around that information that the jury was able to hear during that trial?
Well, the big problem is they took two cases and brought them together in one trial. The charges involving the death of Cooper, obviously those were the murder charges, cruelty to children charges, and then they had these unrelated charges relating to Harris's communication, mostly text messages, to an underage female that were very sexual in nature. They brought those two charges together in one trial, and the Supreme Court said, wait a minute, all of that evidence relating to his texting these underage girls should not have been considered by the jury when they're deciding the murder case. And it was unfairly prejudicial. It made Harris look like a bad guy. Obviously he was. The jury convicted him on those sex crime charges, but they should not have had that evidence bleed over into the murder case. Only the text and messages he was sending on the day Cooper died should have been relevant and should have been admitted at trial. That's what the state Supreme Court said.
And I think that's important to point out here that this is so separate because we have a couple of parents who've already been arrested for leaving kids in hot cars this year. We've had hot car related deaths already in the metro this year. So you can't look at this case as setting precedent for any of those.
No, I mean, to an extent you can. The Supreme Court did find that there was sufficient evidence of the murder charges, so that's why they can retry him again. There was sufficient evidence if you take away all of the information about the underage female, the sex crimes. So yes, this is still the type of case that police should pursue, that prosecutors should proceed on. And that's why I think in this case, the Cobb County DA will go back and retry him on those murder charges.
All right, so this is definitely not over in that aspect, and we will continue following this. And we thank you for joining us, Mr. Page Pate, giving us that in-depth perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, as you guys heard, he took this all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court reversed Justin Ross Harris's conviction for murder and the other crimes related to the death of Cooper in the hot car, but the jury did not reverse any of the sex crime stuff. So he is still in jail, or in prison, I should say. But thank goodness that they saw how crazy that the police treated this guy and the media. They were hand in hand in this one for sure. Hand in hand. If you guys want to call in, I'm taking calls about this case. If you want to talk about it, come on up. If not, that's it. That's the show. What do you guys think of this case? You can tell me in the chat as well. And I'm going to get, I need to get Ava up here because we did have a $10 super chat from Major Victory. And you know what happens when we get double digits is Ava, the terrorist, gets to come in here as well. Mr. Zed, if you can hear my voice, if we can get Ava up here, I would appreciate it. If not, I'm going to replay that part of that video that I did earlier. Now that you've heard the case, I think it might be good to replay at least a portion of it anyway, so you can see what I was talking about of how close everything was, you know. Oh, I hear them coming up the stairs. You know I keep them in the basement. There they are. There they are. So, Ava, get in your spot. Get in your spot. There she is. Thank you very much, Major Victory, for the donation. If anybody else wants to make a donation and give them some treats, now's your time to do it. If you want to call in, get into the backstage area right now. Paste. We're going to give them some treats. We're going to go over what's happening in the coming weeks on the show, and then we're going to be out of here. All right, guys, ready? This is for Major Victory. Look at Zena's little tail wagging. How cute is that? All right. They are the stars of the show for sure. All right, do a high five. Thank you. Do a high five. Thank you. Do a shake. Do this hand. No. All right, shake. Bam. All right, do plots. Do plots. Plots. Good girl. Ava, plots. 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 I'm not giving it to you till you do it. Plots. Oh, she don't want to sit. She don't want to lay down, so she doesn't get another one. You gonna plots? All right, do another high five. All right. They're good girls. So I guess nobody wants to call in, which is fine. I understand. You guys don't want to talk to me. I get it. So coming up next week, I'm going to have a gentleman named Shay on. He has a podcast called No Spoon Podcast. And he spent 15 years in prison for attempted murder. He was involved in a gang in the Los Angeles area many years ago. And we're going to have him on to talk about what he did, why he is reformed now. And it should be a good conversation. If you guys remember the conversation that I had with Justin Coleman, as well as who else did I have on? What other dirty criminals have I had? I'm kidding. These are friends of mine. Justin Coleman, Stephen Ignoramus was on. He had federal convictions for entering the Capitol on January 6th. We had the First Amendment auditor, North Georgia Audits? Was on. Shane is his name. We had him on, and he was convicted, or he was accused of a crime he didn't commit. And that's a very good conversation. I highly suggest going back to watch that one. Anyway, this is going to be in the same line as that. We're going to have Shay on next week on the 21st. Coming up after that, I'm not sure what order these are going to come in, but we have Jessica Lunsford. We have the DC sniper case. We have Richard Ramirez. We're going to get a couple of crime lands in there for sure. Coming up after that, I think Daniel Holtzclaw, which is a police officer who did very, very bad things. Very bad things. So we will definitely look at what he did and condemn him for that. I also think this is another one where it's kind of, not only did he do bad things, this Daniel Holtzclaw, but I think also that some people were accusing him of bad things that he did not do at the same time. So a little of both, but not a good guy. And then Julius Jones out of Oklahoma. We'll talk about that guy too. Anyway, I will see you all next week, 4:30 Eastern time, for the interview with Shay from the No Spoon podcast. We will see you then. Thank you all very much for coming, and we'll be here next time. Later, guys.
I can't understand what you're saying. We're late stage in the catacombs. Shuffling a single card today. Broken table trying to play some ping pong. It's not subtle when we celebrate a magazine with the pages torn. My body cracks, knees buckling. I got a bad case of brain fog. Said I got a bad case of brain fog. So I'ma take my butt home. So I'ma take my butt home. We get out.